Hello my dear friends, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to make this amazing crochet slouchy hat for you. I made that for a woman adult size and it's worked back and forth and it's a side-to-side hat and we should repeat only 4 rows from the beginning until the end of this hat, and after making a piece equal to the circumference of the head, we should attach 2 edges of this piece and after that close the top of the hat. I made this hat with a number 4 yarn, a worsted weight yarn, and number 5 millimeters hook. You can make this hat for each size you want and enjoy that. If you're ready, let's get started. Start the work with a slip knot and then make 45 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 and continue to reach 45. I made 45 chains and the length of these chains determine the height of your hat. If you want your hat to be fitted to your head, you should subtract some of these chains and make 38 or 39 or 40 chains. But I want to make a slouchy hat. I want to make this hat a little slouchy, so make 45 chains. And if you want to have your hat more slouchy, you should make 50 or even 55 chains for this size, okay? And now start the first row from the 3rd chain here. Skip 1, 2, from the 4th chain, skip 1, 2 and 3 chains as the first double crochet of the first row and yarn over, insert the hook into the 4th chain from the hook and make 1 double crochet. Okay, now I have 2 double crochets and then make 1 double crochet into each of next chains. Yarn over, insert the hook into the next chain and pull up a loop and yarn over, pull through 2 and yarn over, pull through 2 and continue that work to make double crochet into all chains except the last 6 chains. We should make the last 6 chains in the other way for the top of the hat, okay? Continue that work until the last 6 chains. Okay, now at the end of row 1, make 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next, and 1 single crochet into the next. And then make 1 slip stitch into the last 3 chains. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. This part is for the top of the hat, the crown of the hat. Now start row 2 with a chain and turn the work and then make 1 slip stitch into the first 6 stitches under both loops of them. Insert the hook under both loops of the first stitch here and make 1 slip stitch. Again, 1 slip stitch under both loops of the next and repeat that work 4 more times to have 6 slip stitches in total at the beginning of row 2. And you should make these stitches a little loosely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now start the body of the hat with making 1 yarn over slip stitch under both loops of all stitches until the end. Yarn over, insert the hook under both loops of the next stitch and grab the yarn and pull it and pull this loop through the first 2 loops on the hook to create 1 yarn over slip stitch. Again, yarn over, insert the hook under these 2 loops from next stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through and pull the first loop through next 2 loops on the hook. Again, yarn over, insert the hook into the next stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through and pull it through these 2 loops on the hook to create next yarn over slip stitch. And we should continue that work and make yarn over slip stitch into each stitch of previous round. This stitch is called yarn over slip stitch or half double crochet slip stitch 2. Continue that work until the end of the row. At the end of row 2, for making the last stitch, yarn over and insert the hook into the first chain of those skip 3 chains here and make yarn over slip stitch. And now this is my work at the end of row 2. Make a chain and turn the work to see the right side of the hat. And now start row 3. In this row, we should make one yarn over slip stitch into the back loop of each stitch of previous row except the last 6 stitches, okay? But since we want to make a straight edge at this side, don't make the first stitch into the back loop of the stitch of previous row, and we should make the first stitch under both loops of the first stitch of previous row. So yarn over, insert the hook under these 2 loops and make one yarn over slip stitch. But for next stitches, yarn over and insert the hook into the back loop of the stitch, not under both loops, okay? Insert the hook here into this loop and make one yarn over slip stitch. Again, yarn over, go to the next stitch into the back loop of that and make the stitch completely. One more time, yarn over, insert the hook into the back loop, not under both loops, and make one yarn over slip stitch, and continue that work. Make one yarn over slip stitch into the back loop of all stitches, and at the end come back to make the last 6 stitches. Now at the end, make one slip stitch into the back loop of next stitches. Insert the hook into this loop, the back loop of the stitch, and make one slip stitch. Again, go to the back loop of the next stitch and make one slip stitch, and repeat that work for next 4 stitches. Make one back loop only slip stitch into each of them. And row 3 is finished, and this is my work at the end of this row. In this side, the right side of the hat, make a chain, turn the work, and now you can see the wrong side of the hat. And start row 4 with making one slip stitch under both loops of first 6 stitches, not into the back loop, okay? Insert the hook here under both loops and make one slip stitch. Again, one slip stitch into the next, one slip stitch into the next stitch under both loops of that, and one slip stitch into each of next 3 stitches to have 6 slip stitches at the beginning of row 4. And now start the pattern of the body with making one yarn over slip stitch into the 3rd loop of the stitch of previous row, okay? This loop is the 3rd loop of the stitch, and these 2 loops are the front and the back loop of the stitch, okay? When we work the stitches in this direction, the 3rd loop is placed behind the work, these loops, behind these 2 loops. These are 2 loops at top of the stitch, and the 3rd loop is placed behind the stitch, okay? But when we turn the work and work in this direction, this 3rd loop are placed in front of the stitch, and we should work yarn over slip stitches into these loops. These are the 3rd loop of the stitches of previous row, and we should work into them. So yarn over and insert the hook here into this 3rd loop in front of these 2 loops, or in front of the stitch, not in this side, in this side. Okay, yarn over, insert the hook under this loop, the 3rd loop of the stitch, and make a yarn over slip stitch. Again, yarn over, go to the next stitch. These are 2 loops at top of that, and this loop is the 3rd loop of the stitch. Make 1 yarn over, slip stitch into that. One more time, yarn over, insert a hook into this loop, the 3rd loop of the next stitch that's placed in front of the stitch here. Make 1 yarn over, slip stitch. Again, yarn over, these are 2 loops of the next stitch at top of that. Ignore them and make 1 yarn over, slip stitch into this loop, the 3rd loop of the stitch. And continue that work. Make 1 yarn over, slip stitch into all stitches until the end of the row. At the end of row 4, don't make the last stitch in the same way. We should make yarn over, slip stitch under both loops of the last stitch, not into the 3rd loop, under these 2 loops, not here, because we want to make a clean edge. So don't make the last or first stitches in this side into the back loop or into the 3rd loop of the stitch, and we should make the last stitch or first stitch in this side under both loops of the stitch of previous row here. Okay, and row 4 is finished. Turn the work and see the work at the end, and we have 3 vertical lines, 1, 2, and 3 after the double crochet row. Okay, and this is the right side of the hat, and we should repeat these 4 rows. So repeat row 1, make 1 chain and turn the work. You can make 3 chains instead of the first double crochet and start the work, but I want to make a straight edge in this side, so make 1 single crochet into the first stitch under both loops of that, not into the back loop, and after that insert the hook into this loop, the left loop of same single crochet, make 1 single crochet, and again insert the hook into the left loop of previous single crochet and make another single crochet. And these single crochets count as the first double crochet of the row. Okay, and now start the row with making 1 double crochet into the back loop of each stitch, not under both loops. So yarn over, insert hook into the back loop of the next stitch and make 1 double crochet. Again, yarn over, insert the hook into the back loop of the next, make 1 double crochet, and continue that work and make 1 double crochet into the back loop of each stitch except the last 6 stitches. Okay, at the end of row 5, make 1 single crochet into the back loop of next, 1 single crochet into the back loop of next stitch, and 1 single crochet into the back loop of the next, 3 single crochets in total, and 1 slip stitch into the back loop of last 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3. And row 5 is finished, as you can see that. We have 1 row of double crochets and 3 vertical lines after that, and again repeat this sequence. Actually, after this row, row 5, we should repeat row 2, row of yarn over slip stitches under both loops of the stitch. And after that, repeat row 3, row of yarn over slip stitches into the back loop of the stitch of previous row, and then repeat row 4, row of yarn over slip stitch into the 3rd loop of the stitches of previous row, and again repeat row 5, row of double crochets into the back loop of the stitches of previous row. And these 4 rows should be repeated several times. And for the last 6 stitches, in row 2, 3, and 4, make 6 slip stitches, but in row 5, make 3 single crochets and 3 slip stitches. And in row 2, row 4, and other even rows, make these 6 stitches under both loops of the stitch of previous row. And in row 3, row 5, and other odd rows, make these 6 stitches into the back loop of the stitches of previous row. And continue this sequence until the length of this piece reach the desired circumference of your head. Okay, I repeated those 4 rows, row 2, 3, 4, and 5, 15 more times, ending with row 4, not row 5, okay? And now I have 16 repeats of these parts. And the length of my piece has reached the circumference of my head, and I want to join these 2 sides together. This is the right side of my hat. You can see these 3 lines after each row of the double crochet. And with right side facing me, fold the piece in half and put these 2 edges together. So insert the hook into the base of the first double crochet of row 1, or into the 3rd chain of the beginning chains at the beginning of row 1. This is the first chain, 2 and 3. We skip these 3 chains at the beginning of row, and now insert the hook into the 3rd chain of that, and then grab this loop and pull it through, make a chain, then insert the hook into the same loop, the same chain again, and then insert the hook into the back loop of the first stitch of last row here, not both loops. And then grab the yarn, pull it through these loops, and then pull it through the first loop on the hook to create 1 slip stitch, and join the first stitch of row 1 to the front stitch. Now go to the next loop from row 1 from these remaining loops, and then insert the hook into the back loop of the next stitch, not under both loops of the stitch, and make 1 slip stitch. Again, insert the hook into the next loop from row 1 and into the back loop of next stitch from last row, and join them together with a slip stitch. One more time. This is the next loop from row 1, and this is the back loop of next stitch from last row. Join them together again with slip stitch, and continue that work, and join all stitches of first row to the back loop of the stitches of last row with slip stitch. Continue until the end. Okay, I joined all the stitches, and now you can see this invisible join in this side. And now we should close the top of the hat. So make a chain and cut the yarn, leaving a long tail. And after that, pull this yarn and leaving this tail through the stitches of the top of the hat with this tapestry needle. Okay. Insert the needle into this loop, and each of next loops, and pull the yarn And continue that work for other loops at top of the rows, and pull the yarn again and continue until the end. And now pull the yarn tightly to close the hole. And then secure that with some stitches. Again, repeat that work in this direction. And repeat several more times. And now cut the yarn and tie these two tails. And you can hide these tails through the stitches. Turn the work to right side and see this beautiful and simple crochet beanie hat, slouchy hat. And after that you can attach a pom-pom at top of that. I attached a pom-pom at top of my hat, and now my beautiful beanie hat is ready. I hope you like that. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video and leave a comment. Have a nice day.